Viewer discretion is advised.
It was kind of a lover's triangle thing.
A letter written by Martin Smart to his then wife, Marilyn. I've paid the price of your love, and now I've bought it with 4 people's lives.
There's a violent component.
But why was she taken away from the cabin?
I believe there's 2 individuals.
There are lots of theories.
Kind of made the case personal.
Keddie, California, 1981. A place where you went to disappear into the beauty of the Sierra Nevada mountains. It was supposed to be a sanctuary for Sue Sharp and her 5 children, a fresh start. But on the morning of April 12th, Cabin 28 became the site of the most savage unsolved crime in California history. 3 bodies lay on the floor, bound with medical tape and electrical wire. The air was thick with a violence so extreme it felt demonic. And yet, in the very next room, 3 small children were still tucked in their beds, unharmed. How did a massacre happen in a tiny plywood cabin without a single scream being heard? And why did the killer take 1 child with them into the night? This is the Keddie Cabin Murders, the mystery that the mountains refused to solve.
It has been 40 years since the Keddie. It's a marker for people driving this route daily. In rural Plumas County, a triple horror happened here in Cabin 28. Missing child.
Things went in a lot of different directions.
Remains later found, and the case remains what happened in Keddie 40 years ago.
When 14-year-old Sheila Sharp returned from a sleepover at a neighbor's house that morning, she expected to smell breakfast. Instead, she smelled copper. On the living room floor lay her mother, Sue, her brother John, and his friend, Dana Wingate. The scene was chaotic. 2 hammers and a steak knife were used with such ferocity that the blade of the knife had bent at a 25-degree angle. Here is the viral nugget that chills the blood. The victims weren't just killed, they were displayed. They were bound with layers of tape and wire, some brought from outside the cabin. This wasn't a crime of passion that happened in seconds. This was an operation. The killers spent time in that house. They were comfortable there. While the living room was a slaughterhouse, behind a thin wooden door, Sue's 2 youngest sons and their friend were fast asleep. They claimed they heard nothing. Or perhaps they were so terrified, their young minds blocked it out. The killers walked past their door, they looked inside, and for some reason, they closed it and walked away. But as the police began to count the survivors, they realized the nightmare was only half over. Tina was missing. 12-year-old Tina had been taken from her bed, while the others were murdered. She hadn't run, she had been collected. This is where the story turns from a tragedy into a scandal. The investigation into Cabin 28 was a masterclass in how not to solve a murder.
I found too many things to be amiss.
Crucial mistakes were made 40 years ago.
It was a solvable case.
There's only 1 road into Keddie and 1 road out.
Evidence wasn't logged. The crime scene was tampered with.
The crime scene wasn't secured. Evidence was handled by people who shouldn't have been there. But the most infuriating detail, the hammer, a blue-handled claw hammer believed to be one of the murder weapons, disappeared. It stayed missing for 35 years until it was found in 2016 at the bottom of a nearby pond.
They found a murder weapon, this hammer, inside the pond.
They were trying to get rid of the evidence.
Surely, this was a break in the case. The hammer was so rusted, no DNA could be pulled from it.
In a small town like Keddie, the line between the law and the locals was dangerously thin. For 3 years, the town looked for Tina. They hoped for a miracle. They got a nightmare. In 1984, a collector found a skull fragment 30 miles away in Butte County. It was Tina. Alongside her remains, police found a child's blanket and a medical tape dispenser, the same kind of tape used to bind the victims in the cabin. The discovery proved one thing. Tina wasn't killed in the cabin. She was taken alive, kept for an unknown amount of time, and then discarded in the wilderness. The cruelty of the plan was now undeniable. Everyone had a theory. Was it the neighbor, a man with a violent past and a grudge against Sue? Was it his friend, an ex-con? Both men had alibis that were paper thin, yet they were never charged. Decades later, a secret letter was found from the neighbor to his wife, seemingly apologizing for his actions the night of the murders. Most of the primary suspects are gone, taking their dark secrets to the grave. The cabin itself? It was torn down in 2004. The wood was hauled away and the land was cleared. But you can't tear down a haunting. The Keddie cabin murders are a reminder that sometimes the good old days had a very dark underbelly. Somewhere, someone watched a 12-year-old girl being carried into the woods. Someone heard the hammers. Someone helped hide the truth. Justice hasn't come for the Sharp family. Not yet. But as long as we keep telling their names, Sue, John, Dana, and Tina, the case isn't truly dead. Do you believe the police were incompetent, or was there a deliberate cover-up in Keddie? And why do you think the killers left the 3 youngest children alive? Let's dig into the theories in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the cases the world tried to forget. Because even in the quietest woods, the truth has a way of screaming. Thanks for watching.